Good morning, all. So, welcome back to the another module of our biochemistry. Today, I'll be discussing on the carbohydrate metabolism. So, in last chapter, we have learned about the classification of carbohydrates. Hope you all remember that. So, we know carbohydrates are classified into monosaccharide, disaccharide, oligosaccharide, and polysaccharides. So, what are the biological significance of carbohydrates? As we know, carbohydrates are the major source of energy for living organisms, and they are supplying a huge array of metabolic intermediates for biosynthetic reactions, the structural elements in cell cord or connective tissues. So, these are some biological significance of carbohydrates. Now, next is what is metabolism? So today we are learning about carbohydrate metabolism. So before moving into it, we should understand what is exactly the metabolism. Thousands of chemical reactions are taking place inside a cell in an organized, well coordinated, and purposeful manner. All these reactions are called as metabolism. Actually, there are three metabolic pathway: catabolic pathway, anabolic pathway, and amphibolic pathway. The different stages and phases of metabolism include primary, secondary, and tertiary. So that is what do you mean by the basic aspects of the metabolism. So in this chapter, we are learning about carbohydrate metabolism. So what you are seeing now are the major pathway of carbohydrate metabolism: glycolysis, citric acid cycle, gluconeogenesis, glycogenesis, glycogenolysis, hexose monophosphate shunt, uronic acid pathway, galactose metabolism, fructose metabolism, amino acid sugar metabolism. Actually, in this chapter, you are supposed to learn only 5 metabolic pathway of carbohydrates. So next is entry of glucose into cells. Actually, the glucose enter into the cell in two type of transport. The first one is insulin dependent transport system of glucose. So here it is not depend on the hormone called insulin. So normally this is operative in hepatocytes, erythrocytes, and brain. Hepatocytes means the cells in liver, erythrocytes means RBC, and the cells in brain. So that is happen with the help of the glucose transfer um, substrate called GLUT1. Now, the second type of transport system is insulin dependent transport system. So that is normally happen in the muscles and adipose tissue. So here the transporter the transporter as a transporter GLUT4 is acted here. So the first metabolic pathway, glycolysis, it is also called Empton-Mayrhof pathway or EM pathway. It is important to understand the different names of a metabolism. So in exam, they may ask you EMP pathway or glycolysis. So you should understand what it exactly means. So what do you mean by glycolysis is defined as a sequence of reaction converting glucose or glycogen to pyruvate or lactate with the production of ATP. ATP is the energy giving molecules. So these are the salient features of a glycolysis. Normally this metabolic reaction is taking place in all cells of body. So the enzymes present in cytosomal fraction of the cell. Lactate is the end product. So that reaction is happen in anaerobic condition. So next is pyruvate. So the lactate will be converted into pyruvate. So that is finally oxidized to carbon dioxide and water in later. So that is the end product of aerobic condition. So actually the step till in the production of lactate is happen in anaerobic condition, and the lactate is converted into pyruvate that happens in the aerobic condition. So there is a two type conditions are there in the glycolysis. tissues lacking mitochondria. The normally in the where whatever tissues which is a lack of mitochondria, the major pathway for the ATP synthesis is glycolysis here, and the glycolysis is very essential for the brain because brain is dependent on glucose for the energy, and this is a central metabolic pathway. The glycolysis, the reversal form of the glycolysis is also results in the gluconeogenesis. So that we will see in detail in coming slides. Now the glycolysis reaction is categorized into three steps. First one is energy investment phase or priming phase, then splitting phase, and energy generation phase. Now we will see how all these reactions happen in different phases. So first, in energy investment phases, the first glucose is phosphorylated to glucose 6-phosphate by the enzyme called hexokinase or glucokinase. Then this glucose 6-phosphate again undergo isomerization to give fructose 6-phosphate in the presence of enzyme called phosphohexoisomerase and magnesium ions. Fructose 6-phosphate is then phosphorylated to fructose 1,6 biphosphate by phosphofructokinase. So these reactions happens in the first phase called energy investment phase. Now in the splitting phase, the fructose 1,6 biphosphate is the last product produced in the energy investment phase. Now it is enters into the splitting phase. So here the fructose 1,6 biphosphate is converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate plus dihydroxyacetone phosphate with the help of enzyme called aldolase. Now 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate are obtained from 1 molecule of glucose. So this is the what we call splitting phases. Now we are moving to the last phase called energy generation phase. So here we have see that 2 molecules of glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is obtained in the splitting phase. Now the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is converted to 1,3-biphosphoglycerate in the enzyme called glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate hydrogenase. 1,3-biphosphoglycerate is then converted to 3-phosphoglycerate with the help of enzyme called phosphoglycerate kinase, and this 3-phosphoglycerate is again converted to 2-phosphoglycerate, that is called phosphoglycerate mutase, and 2-phosphoglycerate is converted into phosphophenol pyruvate in the presence of enzyme called enolase, and the magnesium and manganese ions are also involved in this process. Then the phosphoenol pyruvate is then converted into pyruvate with the help of enzyme called pyruvate kinase, and this pyruvate is again converted into lactate in the presence of enzyme called lactate dehydrogenase. So these are the three different phases. So the same reaction here is represented in the form of structural form. The first, the glucose is converting into glucose 6-phosphate in the enzyme called hexokinase. So here 1 ATP is converted into ADP. That is adeno triphosphate is converted into adeno diphosphate. Now this glucose 6-phosphate is converted into fructose 6-phosphate in the presence of enzyme called phosphoglucoisomerase, and this fructose 6-phosphate undergo converted into fructose 1,6-phosphate. So here 1 ATP is produced to ADP. Now this fructose 1,6 biphosphate is splitted into two products. One is dihydroxyacetone phosphate and one is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate in the presence of enzyme called aldolase. And here this is a reversible reaction that is happens in the presence of isomerase. Now the glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is converted into 1,3-biphosphoglycerate in the enzymes in the presence of enzyme triose phosphate dehydrogenase. A 2-NAD is converted into 2-NADH and plus 2 hydrogen ions. Now this 1,3-biphosphoglycerate is converted into 3-phosphoglycerate in the enzyme called phosphoglycerokinase. Here 2-ADP is converted into 2-ATP. Now this is again converted into 2-phosphoglycerate in the presence of enzyme phosphoglycerate mutase, and 2-phosphoglycerate is converted into phosphoenol pyruvate with the liberation of a 2 molecule of water, and the here enzyme present here is enolase, and this phosphoenol pyruvate is converted into pyruvate in the presence of enzyme called pyruvate kinase, and here 2-ADP molecule is converted into 2-ATP. So this is the what we call glycolysis. Now this table shows the energy production of the glycolysis. So in the first step, which is happen in the anaerobic glycolysis, here 2-ATP molecule is produced, and in the aerobic glycolysis, total 6 ATP molecule will be produced here. Now we are moving to the citric acid cycle, Krebs cycle or TCA cycle or tricarboxylic acid. So what is citric acid cycle means? This cycle is very important because it is essentially involved the oxidation of acetyl-CoA to carbon dioxide and water. This cycle utilizes about 2/3 of total oxygen consumed by the body. So a brief history on the TCA cycle is, normally it was found by the scientist Hans Adolf Krebs in the year 1937, and he found it during the study of oxygen consumption in pigeon breast muscle. Now location of TCA is in mitochondrial matrix in close proximity to the electronic transport chain. Here 65 to 70% of ATP is synthesized through this TCA cycle. A name TCA used because at the outset of the cycle, tricarboxylic acid is participate here. That's why the cycle is called the TCA. Now we will see the reaction of citric acid cycle. The first step is formation of a citrate. So here the condensation of acetyl-CoA and oxaloacetate in the presence of a citrate isindase, a citrate is formed. This next is this citrate is isomerized to isocitrate, and that is converted into aconitase. That is the second and the third step. Now the formation of alpha ketoglutarate. In the presence of enzyme isocitrate dehydrogenase. So that is the 4th and 5th steps. Now the conversion of alpha ketoglutarate to succinyl-CoA through the oxidative decarboxylation, and that is catalyzed by the ketoglutarate dehydrogenase complex. Now the formation of succinate, the enzyme involved here is succinate thiokinase. So here GTP plus ADP, it is a reversible reaction. ATP and GDP will be formed here. Next is conversion of succinate to fumarase. The enzyme involved here succinate dehydrogenase, and formation of malate. The fumarate is converted to malate, and the enzyme called fumarase. And this malate is converted into oxaloacetate in the presence of enzyme called malate dehydrogenase. So this is the cycle. So from the pyruvate we have seen in the glycolysis, the pyruvate has formed, and this here pyruvate is converted into the lactate. So that in that reaction, one acetyl-CoA will be produced here. This oxaloacetate and the acetyl-CoA will be the starting step in the TCA cycle, and that is converted into citrate and again isocitrate, and here one NAD is converted into NADH plus and hydrogen ions, and it liberate carbon dioxide, and isocitrate convert to alpha ketoglutarate. Here again one carbon dioxide molecule is released, and NAD is converted into NADH and hydrogen ion, and that is converted to succinyl-CoA. So here one GDP is converted into GTP, and one phosphate will be entered into the cycle, and here succinate is formed. Again succinate converted into fumarate, FAD is converted into FADH2, and fumarate convert to malate, and malate is converted into oxaloacetate by the conversion of NAD into NADH plus and hydrogen ions. So this is what we call the TCA cycle. So again, I must remind you that in each step, various enzymes are also involved. So that is also important. So when you write the cycle, it is important what all how many energies has produced here, what are enzymes are involved in the cycle. So that must also you should not. Now in the TCA cycle, it is strictly aerobic in contrast to glycolysis. So total here 12 ATP are produced from 1 acetyl-CoA. During the process of oxidation of acetyl-CoA via citric acid cycle, 3 NADH and 1 FADH2 is formed here. Oxidation of 3 NADH by electron transport chain coupled with oxidative phosphorylation results in 9 ATP and FADH2 into 2 ATP, and 1 substrate level phosphorylation is also happen here. Next is gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis means the synthesis of glucose from non-carbohydrate compounds. So here major substrate or the precursors involved were lactate, pyruvate, glycogenic amino acids, propionate and glycerol. So normally this gluconeogenesis is happen in liver, and in kidney. About 1 kilogram of glucose will be happen by this process, and in kidney matrix, that is 1/3 of glucose, and it occurs in cytosol. Cytosol means inside the cell, and some produced in mitochondria also. So this is how the gluconeogenesis happens. Gluconeogenesis is the reverse reaction of the glycolysis. So here succinate is converted to fumarate and the malate, and this malate produce the oxaloacetate, and it convert to phosphoenol pyruvate. Again it undergo various reaction and form 3-phosphoglycerate and 3-glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate, and it moving to the glucose. So this is how the gluconeogenesis reaction is happen. So this is the Cori cycle. So normally we know the glucose is stored in the liver and muscles in the form of a glycogen. When body demand for the glucose, this glycogen will be release glucose into the blood. So here glycogen is the storage form. So by the glycolysis process, the lactate is produced here, and this lactate is released into the blood and enters into the liver, and it undergo the gluconeogenesis process, and here the glucose is produced, and the glucose, if a body want glucose, that will be released into the blood. Excess glucose will converted into the glycogen, and it will be stored in the liver. So the cycle involving the synthesis of glucose in liver from the skeletal muscle lactate and the reuse of glucose those synthesized by the muscle for energy purpose. So that is what we call Cori cycle. Next is glycogen metabolism. Glycogen, we know it is a storage form of glucose in animals. Stored, normally it is stored in liver about 6 to 8%, and muscle it is 1 to 2%. Due to muscle mass, the quantity of glycogen in muscle is 250 gram, and in liver it is 75 gram. Normally, this glycogen is stored as a granules in the cytosol. The function of glycogen is in liver glycogen, it maintains the blood glucose level, and muscle glycogen, it serves as a fuel reserve. Next is glycogenesis, that is the formation of the glycogen. The synthesis of glycogen from the glucose, that is what we call glycogenesis, normally take place in the cytosol. So it requires UTP and ATP besides the glucose. So here these are the various steps involved in the glycogenesis. The first one is synthesis of UDP, glucose, and a requirement of primer to the initiate glycogenesis. So here the glycogen is synthesis by the glycogen synthase, then formation of branches in the glycogen. So this is how the glycogenesis happen. So here the first glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate in the if in the muscle the enzyme present is hexokinase, in liver the glucokinase will be the enzyme present here. And in the presence of phosphoglucomutase, glucose 6-phosphate is converted into glucose 1-phosphate, and that is converted into UDP glucose in the presence of UDP glucose pyrophosphatase, and UDP glucose is converted into alpha 1 to 4 glucosyl units in the presence of enzyme called glycogen synthase, and this is converted into glycogen. So that is here some branching enzymes were involved in this process, and so finally this glycogen is produced here. So these are the steps involved in the glycogenesis. Next is hexose monophosphate shunt or HMP shunt. It is also called pentose phosphate pathway and phosphogluconate pathway. So this HMP shunt pathway is considered as an alternative pathway to glycolysis and the TCA cycle for the oxidation of glucose. So it is anabolic in nature since it is concerned with the biosynthesis of NADPH and pentoses, and it is unique multifunctional pathway. Normally the enzymes located here is inside the cell, and the tissues where this reaction is active where in liver, adipose tissue, adrenal gland, erythrocytes, testis, and lactating mammary gland. So this is the HMP shunt pathway. So here the glucose is converted into glucose 6-phosphate. 1 ATP is entered into the reaction in the presence of enzyme called hexokinase, and this glucose 6-phosphate is converted into 6-phosphogluconol-lactone in the presence of glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase in the so here 1 NADPH is liberated, and again converted into 6-phosphogluconate in the enzyme gluconolactonase. Here one water molecule is liberated, and here NADP and carbon dioxide is liberated in the presence of enzyme 6-phosphogluconate dehydrogenase. It forming ribulose 5-phosphatase. It is splitted into two compound called ribose 5-phosphate and xylose 5-phosphate. So the enzymes involved here is for ribulose 5-phosphate isomerase, and here ribulose 5-phosphate epimerase, and here the ribose 5-phosphate will converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate, and here um, in this will be converted into pseudoheptulose 7-phosphate, and it combined together, and it giving rise to fructose 6-phosphate, and plus erythro 4-phosphate to compound is produced in the presence of enzyme called the transaldolase, and here this fructose 6-phosphate will be entering into the glycolysis cycle, and this glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate is also entered into the glycolysis cycle, and here this erythro 4-phosphate converted into glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and entered into the glycolysis. So here the glyceraldehyde again, this erythro 4-phosphate is giving two type of compound, one is glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and fructose 6-phosphate, that is also formed by the involvement of cellulose 5-phosphate in the presence of transketolase, and all these compounds are entering into the glycolysis. So this the stage from here to till here is happen under aerobic condition, and the remaining is step will happen in anaerobic part. So this is HMP shunt pathway. So the significance of HMP shunt pathway is pentose or its derivatives are useful for the synthesis of nucleic acids and the nucleotides. NADPH is required here for reductive biosynthesis of fatty acids and steroids, for the synthesis of certain amino acids, antioxidant reaction, hydroxylation reaction, detoxification of the drugs, phagocytosis process, preserve the integrity of a RBC membrane. So that's all for today. So this is all about the carbohydrate metabolism. Don't be tensed by seeing all cycles, but anyway you should by heart all these cycles. Uh, Definitely one day I will make you to write all cycles by heartly. So that's all for today. Thank you all.